Got ourselves our little protein smoothie here from our amazing wife every morning. It's a protein, kale, what else? Blueberries and all kinds of good things. Lucon. Isn't that the Northern Empire? I don't know. That's the Northern Empire Emperor or whatever the fuck, however you'd say that. I think it says chasing me. Hopefully you fellas don't mind if I, hopefully not too noisily, slurp down this smoothie here before we engage here. What the again, we've got this strange behavior, chasing Yuha. Chasing usually indicates that you would attack, not run away. It doesn't say running away. Is he trying to bait me to fight at the village? So I experienced this before in this campaign. I'm not certain if this is a mod that's causing this. I don't think so. I don't really have any mods that affect like the AI's behavior. But this is really interesting. So let's see what happens here. The villages are resisting. I think we're going to cut them down. I don't want to suffer a lot of losses here in auto resolve, but don't worry, friends. I'm not going to subject you to a horrendously long village battle. Now, I should preface this just in case I cut quite a bit. We have recovered quite a bit from a loss a couple, 3 weeks ago. I've recorded a little bit, but this may be the first sort of re-narration since that massacre. We lost. We joined an Aserai force. It was a dipshit decision. Mostly it was I don't give a fuck decision. It's not like this campaign is a serious deal to me here. And we were captured. So we've rebuilt our army surprisingly quickly, right? We've been raiding villages. You tell them to give you recruits. Then, of course, when you raid villages, look at this. You get all these upgrades just from pounding on the peasants. We now have like 10 Imperial Sergeant Crossbow and Aserai Ferris and other pretty strong troops. And we're evidently strong enough. We're going to take all these recruits prisoner here. All these guys here that we demanded, even though it's going to overstaff us, overstock our group here. I think we're going to attack Lucon here if he doesn't attack us. But very quickly, I would say maybe 10 games, or 10 days rather, of game time, we have recovered. We're gaining levels. Okay, so this might be what he's waiting for. Well, we're getting deserters. That's okay. Let's raid it right in front of him. Yeah, who am I? I'm the guy you were chasing, remember? Come get some. Emperor Lucon is fucking dipshit. I wish I could steal the helmet off his head there. Everybody always wants that helmet. They're hard to find. Interesting. He's got an extremely ranged heavy army. 30-something Imperial Sergeant Crossbow. The other guy has tons of ranged units. So our army is pretty ranged heavy. So this will be interesting. A town battle. And so they attacked us. This is a critical part of this. They're required to come to us. So let's funnel these bitches. Look at this. There's like a slaughter pen right here. We could put our units behind these couple little village buildings in these little fields, right, protected by these fences. And probably either force them to come around the edges there where we can pound them with ammunition, or even better is if they come through that little shed area there. So I've got, look at how many Imperial Sergeant Crossbow. What is that? That's like 12. And we can form this 4th division into a crossbow division that can square. Crossbow divisions to me are almost always the 4th division. You get it by selecting that little shield as preference, and then those units will be able to square like that. It's another way you can have, whoops, pardon me, a little bit of a crossbow division slash infantry division slash defensive division. They're highly versatile. And so we will be using these guys early on in this battle. In other words, they will be on open fire from the get-go. We will defend them with the 2nd Cavalry, which is our best cavalry. And then over here, let's put all of the infantry divisions and the 5th Archers. I've got some horse archers mixed in here. And let's do this. This 8th Corps, check this shit out. I think I can divide it. Yeah, look at this. These are the former troops from this village. We're actually going to use Lucon's troops against him. Maybe these guys will score the kill and actually get the kill of this, what is he, Emperor fellas? I don't actually know. I think it's Emperor Lucon. He's one of the emperors of the 3. For whatever reason, he's by himself here. We've isolated him. We shouldn't execute him. Of course, that causes massive relation problems later in the campaign. This little practice campaign, I may start executing fucks just for fun. I'm not going to play this campaign out all the way, so we shall see. This is, you know, it's kind of like a dream where we can just do whatever we want, right? Walk on water and stuff. So check this out. Let me shove a horse division into that little gap there. We're going to pound the enemy as they come around, but if they try to push through there with cavalry, I'm going to dismount our cavalrymen. That way they can all basically plug up that gap. So I've got this 8th Corps. It's basically, usually my 8th Corps is an elite division. Those are going to be the ghetto troops. I'll probably send them in first, right? Basically, cannon fodder. Then I have 2 skirmisher divisions because most of our units have javelins. We captured a lake rat minor clan at one point, and he had like 16 lake rats that we've been recruiting. So we're starting to get a decent amount of skirmishers. I've got 2 different archer divisions, and then I can just shove these horse archers at the back. And essentially now we just wait, right? Fortunately, we do have the RTS mod loaded, so we can kind of speed things along. Our crossbow are more than welcome to fire. They've got good range and do good damage to horse archers and whatnot. And now we just wait. Whoa, shit. I don't know what that lighting change was right there. I apologize. I don't know if that was a little graphics bug or what. I have had a little bit of difficulty with the the realistic weather mod. I don't know if it's a conflict of mods or graphic settings or something, but every once in a while it does haywire things. So I may not be able to use that for the campaign. We shall see. If anybody knows, what I get is I get a black screen sometimes. If anybody knows how to fix that, I'd love to know how to fix that. All right, as usual, the artificial imbecility here is complying. They're being about as bad and stupid as they can with their troops, sending in cav, you know, 5 at a time. Look at how badly they're getting jammed up on our cavalry. Those horses are very dutifully standing there, blocking the enemy's access to us. I've got our vanguard of 18 peasants here, ready to attack as soon as the enemy comes around to one of these edges. In fact, they're roaring like they're going to charge. And we're very happy if they charge, right? They're basically walking straight into the gauntlet. In fact, they just died. They walked right into it. Let's unload all these javelins. The 8th Corps gets told to charge all these poor peasants. I just forced the village to give us all these guys, and they all get summarily executed now by the enemy's own troops. It's enemy forces fighting enemy forces. And the rest of our units, we're just going to sit here and pound them at range. I've got an infantry division there holding a square at the opening, so they can't really charge in. Their archers are trying to shoot. And here's what we can do, too. I can start moving units to the left flank of the enemy, right? I can get a cav division over here. I can get these skirmishers over here, and maybe even an archer division. Fucking run me over, motherfucker. I remember that shit. Catch. There's Lucon. Let's see if we can kill Lucon with the javelin. Fucking archer here shooting me. Where's he at? No cav coming up and spearing me this episode. Oh, I hit his shield. Kill that guy. Cut him down. He screams and yells. Shit, they're not giving me time. I want to get my archers up in here on the enemy, because at this stage the enemy is fucked, right? The enemy is totally trapped. We're going to be able to surround them. And of course they just lost half their force trying to go through that gauntlet. So let's spread our archers out. We're not going to be stupid and just run right down the middle. We're going to use the edges of the battlefield here, send units to the side, and very quickly overwhelm this sad Northern Empire force. It actually had good troops, right? It was archer heavy though, and the way we set up there, apart from them taking a wide flanking maneuver, they had no chance. We're going to bore in here from the side with this 3rd Infantry and the 6th Skirmishers. This guy's charging me. He's a dead man. Now we've got archers on the retreating units, and this battle's over. All right, well, as I like to say normally, I didn't have time in this episode. Welcome back again to an episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to Bannerlord, especially Advanced Battlefield Command and Tactics. What's that mean? That means basically using your units in an intelligent, planned manner. Look at my characters just leveling up like an unbelievable amount. I mean, this is just like astonishing how quickly he's leveling. Now, I should preface this, I did start this guy at level 40 for this sandbox part of it, right? We don't have a brother and the whole family member. Come with us, Emperor. You can ride behind the cavalry and our cows, you know, trudging through the shit as they shit and piss all over you. We're going to get a nice little ransom out of this guy. We could execute him, but, you know, I'm not going to be too nefarious here. We'll do that with, like, the looter and the peasant revolt. We'll fuck around with stuff like that. The peasant revolt may be something that I continue at some point. But in this one, we will act, I guess, somewhat civilized. So I am thinking about becoming a mercenary for the Khazate. That Aserai experience has left me a little bit sour. We'll ransom this guy. I'm not going to re-ransoming Emperor Lucon until we get to a city. But the Aserai experience was very uncomfortable, right? It was a disaster. They got fucking destroyed. And frankly, they fought like dipshits. So I'm not sure quite what we're going to do there. Head to Makeb, I guess. I haven't played in this part of the map very often, so my pronunciation, a lot of these words is going to be new. Of course, my campaign started in Sturgia, but I stayed mostly to the south and west. Of course, we had some forays over here, but not when I was narrating. So we are going to sell our souls here, right? We already told the Aserai we're no longer interested in being a mercenary for you. We'd like to enter... Yeah, we'd like to work for Manchug. Wow, and they're willing to give us a lot of gold for every... I think that's for every influence you gain. I can't remember the exact formula, but I think the Aserai were paying us like 130 or something like that. So the Khazate are willing to give us much more money here. We're much more eager to fight with them. I'm not entirely sure who they're at war with. I think maybe Sturgia. And we'll dump some recruits here. You can always just lighten your load and dump some units off. So the actual campaign will probably be later this year. I've mentioned that a few times. And the age of your character is important. I want to wrap up that point. I was mentioning it earlier. When you start a campaign, you basically get to choose, right? A sandbox in particular, the age of your main character, right? I think it can be 20, 30, 40, or 50. And the older you choose, the more attribute and focus points you get. On top of the base game, which can actually make a far more powerful character. I think I got 3 extra attribute points and 6 focus points. Focus points are the 1 through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 you put on the perks, and then of course the attribute points are things like endurance and vigor and shit like that. So this level 40 character. I don't know how many game hours. I don't know if you guys know there's a way to check how many game hours you've played in your current campaign. I'd love to know that. But I would assume that I have like 10 hours max in this campaign. And he's already turning into, a rated G or a rated PG beast. Like he's already pretty serviceable. These guys want some? Look at the power bar. I can't believe they're attacking us here. All right, so we're just going to rip these guys apart here. While I continue to talk about that. So that is a factor, right? When you start a sandbox campaign, I guess you can call it a sandbox campaign. It's not the main campaign with the quests and all that shit. When you do a sandbox and you start the character's age, that is a big decision, right? Because if you start a really young guy, of course, he's going to live for a long time. If you start with a 50-year-old, there's actually a chance he could die, I think, right away of illness. If I remember right, mortality becomes a thing in Bannerlord at age 50. You can't die of old age at like 40, although I did have a character die of old age at like 44 once. Anyway, so when you start the game older, the character is stronger, much stronger, and has a higher upside as far as overall levels. But they also, they have a risk of dying, potentially even before you make an error. And I'm not quite certain what that would do to a campaign. So I will start the campaign at either level 30 or 40, just so that I have a little bit more of an advanced character, some benefits to that, but not someone who's going to die of a stroke like as soon as he enters battle, right? I don't need some old geezer, okay, boomer, right? We don't need some ancient guy leading on the battlefield, especially at level 1. But, I think 40 is kind of a sweet spot. So we're still going to do some tactics here, and I can tell you about that a little bit. We've got crossbow up on that bank. I don't think the sturgeons are going to be able to do anything about that at all. Actually, I think the sturgeons here might get, just a flawless victory. Flawless victory, fatality. For you Mortal Kombat fans, I played that shit in the arcade like probably about the age you guys are now, like 25 years ago. Believe it or not, I was actually an arcade assistant manager right out of high school. We'll just say in the 90s. It was a long time ago, and eventually I got fired / let go because I was playing too many video games and getting paid to do it, right? What a surprise. I was young and irresponsible. That was before I joined the military and then became a firefighter. Anyways, little segue into there. At times during the campaign, I'm definitely gonna be doing little background stuff like that, just because you can only talk about tactics so many different times. So in this case, the Sturgeons have absolutely killed themselves. They're trudging through the marsh here with only infantry and like 10 cavalry. And we have 4 archer divisions, right? We have 3 archer divisions, a crossbow division, and one of the archer divisions is skirmishers rather. So we just will simply move our troops around the enemy here. Oh shit, my infantry might get caught. I don't think... I must have finger fucked their command. Those guys are moving in shield wall. Let's try to get those guys out of here. I can kind of fly in here and sort of try to rescue them a little, knock some of these guys off. But the enemy here, they basically walked into a kill box, right? This is very, very simple kiting, and the enemy is going to die quickly here. Finishing that point, though, so the level of your character matters, right? The level of your character matters for the upside of it. And I want to talk about this a little bit. I am not entirely certain what kind of campaign I'm going to play. And what I mean by that is... am I going to play a campaign that was like my campaign that most people know, right? With the incredible grueling difficulty and the extremely mature kingdoms. Well, certainly not exactly the same, because that campaign took me 2 years to make. But one of the things that's a possibility is that I tell you, like at the end of an episode, okay, now I'm going to stall. It'll probably be after I become a vassal. And what I would do is just simply accumulate wealth, accumulate troops, accumulate equipment, accumulate some perks and stuff like that as this Sturgeon force just gets liquidated. They're routing. This battle's over. And I would probably stall 20 years, give or take, right? I would acquire a wife, make some children, hopefully get 4, 5, 6, 7 children if I get lucky. And then the idea would be to sort of, it would be literally 1 episode later for you fellas. It might be a month later because it'll take a little while for me. Maybe it'll be 2 weeks if I do it fast. But just all of a sudden come back with a more mature map. I might run the Lord Retinue up tier mod, where all of a sudden enemy troops are significantly upgraded, right? And so the enemy will be a lot stronger. And essentially allows some time to pass, right? We would engage Marty McFly with his time machine and go 20 years into the future so that we have some formidable foes to challenge. Because quite honestly, based on my experience so far, based on the experience I've now gained in these campaigns, the skill level, the comfort level, even with this mediocre army, it just feels like we're going to blow the doors off of everything that gets in our way. We're not playing on easy difficulty. This is the hardest difficulty, right? So without mods, it really does feel like I'm going to have to do some things to make it an interesting campaign. Otherwise, it'll just be an absolute speed run blasting through Bannerlord. And I'm not sure I want to play like that, and I'm not sure you guys want to see that. So, of course, you guys can always put in the comments, hey, I want to see that. I want to see you just blow the doors off the game, crush it in 2-3 years, become, whatever, Monchug's overlord and dominate. If you guys really want to see that, put it in the comments and I'll consider that. But what I'd really like is to have a massive war, kind of like my other campaign, where I build into it. Instead of having a mega powerful army, and 50 companions, many of them elite, we would have like 15 companions, a handful of wives, characters in the level 20s instead of level 40. At which point, we would have very real challenges, much more difficult battles. Look at this guy. He's starving. I think his troops are all wounded, so we'll take this guy prisoner. Come with us, Chastamir. Bring more food next time. We'll throw you some of the rinds of our meat and, stale bread. You can join our prison train. I think we're going to attack this other Sturgeon force, too. It's pretty sizable, and obviously we don't have any help. But we're racking up money here for the Khazate. They've got this huge force, almost 2,000. Actually, it was over 2,000. I glanced at it there. and they are attacking Tayal. They don't need my help, so I think what we'll do here is we'll defend this castle. Yeah, there's 300 defenders. I'm not going to get involved there. Let's help with this castle over here, and I'll continue to sort of tell you what my plans are so that you guys can give me feedback. So that's sort of my initial hunch, is to play it like a normal campaign, you know, play the mercenary role for a little bit, kind of like this, eventually join the Aserai as a vassal, and then allow some time to pass, right? Essentially, allow the game to reach a mature stage where hopefully it's a lot more challenging, right? I'll be facing very large armies with mature enemy lords. I might even explore the strengthened AI mod, which a good friend of the channel, his name is Joel, has recommended. If you guys have never seen the strengthened AI mod, it's a little artificial. I mean, it's quite artificial. But boy, does it make the enemy powerful, right? You can make them like unlimitedly powerful where you just have no chance to win. I would probably try to seek some level of balance. The point is, though, is that I want this campaign to be difficult, artificially difficult. And I know the guys on the console are like, well, fuck you and your mods. And I understand that, fellas. Hopefully you guys get mods someday. But at the same time, if I just play this vanilla, I just think you're going to be bored and I'm going to be bored. And this will be a very nondescript, uninteresting campaign. Of course, we're still going to, no matter how I do this, we're still going to seek challenges like this. We're fighting this Sturgeon force twice our size, but I don't actually think this represents a challenge. Now, we actually have a little bit of help here. I think the garrison sallied out. And again, this Sturgeon infantry, you guys have seen me do this before, and that's because it works, right? We're going to do a modified kill box. I've got 3 different ranged units. I've got cavalry to protect our flanks, and I've got an infantry division to eventually close it out. But as long as they have nothing but big infantry groups like that and a handful of lords and cavalry, like these guys are no threat, right? One outrider over here. There's a gal over here shooting her bow. It's just not a threat. Especially once I dial in my javelins, right? These characters are all insta-killed. And then what you're left with is this sad infantry force that the only way it survives is we run out of ammo. And I don't think that's going to happen with this 220. I don't know how I keep missing here. My javelin skills are really struggling with this low skill. In fact, these guys weren't even on fire. I don't think this is going to matter at all, right? We're gonna sally on here. We can tell units to open fire now. And this Sturgeon force has no chance. So this isn't the most exciting thing. I'm kind of doing this just to sort of talk. So I want a little feedback here, fellas. What you guys want to see in a campaign? Obviously, I'm going to have to go with, I've mentioned this before, I'll have to go with democracy here. If one guy wants me to run the De Militari mod and another guy wants me to do Realm of Thrones, and the other 37 comments are for vanilla, right? I'm sorry, fellas, I'm just not going to run the Realm of Thrones or something like that. I've got my javelin guys here just throwing javelins point blank into the back of these poor sturgeons. And of course they can't catch them. So your Aserai just ramps up the kill box even worse. Fortunately, my ally here is actually serving a purpose. They are distracting the enemy archers and some of their cavalry. So all we're dealing with is this infantry. And I would not say we're dealing with it. We are toying with it, right? This is like a circus. They're in a complete circle. We've got the Who playing perfect music for it as our quasi-horse archer army here just completely butchers this force. And at least if we were fighting a massively powerful force, right, stacked with veteran spearmen and Dreadzenic champions and shit like that, this would be a challenge. But against these mediocre troops, brigands and woodsmen, you can see the death spam. These guys have literally no chance, right? I had a crush when I was a kid on Natalie Portman. Not when I was a kid, but when I was like 25, 30. And, you know, these sturgeons have the same chance of winning this battle as I have of having an affair with Natalie Portman, right? Not only that, of course, I love my wife. I would never do that. But the point of that little pathetic joke is that this vanilla Bannerlord, unfortunately, does not represent a challenge, right? Even if we fight armies 2 or 3 times our size, I think eventually we will just truck them. I'm actually performing this kill box at range while we occupy their archers as well. I've become proficient enough at it that I can actually do it in the background while I give a treatise on military strategy, right? So at this stage, we can just bring our infantry in here to destroy them. I know the colors are similar because we're Khazate right now. It's a little confusing. But this battle, it's already over. And frankly, this campaign will be over pretty quickly too, unless I do some things. So I'm almost certainly going to do some stuff. And it's really just kind of a question of whether or not I do things like intentionally stall to make the game harder or not, right? If you guys really don't want me to do that, if you want me to play sort of an ABC campaign, then I'm willing to listen. And that actually brings up another topic. I've had a lot of guys lately, not a lot of guys, but a lot of guys, of course, have been saying they've had success applying tactics to Bannerlord all of a sudden. Surprise, surprise, right? There's no question that Bannerlord is a game that's built on developing and executing military tactics. It's perfectly designed for it. Right now, cavalry are too weak and there's flaws, but tactics work and it helps you dominate at Bannerlord. Well, if you start to sharpen your skills at tactics, you may experience this, right? Where you just absolutely shred a force twice your size. And I was kind of even sloppy in this battle. We probably could have done this a lot more efficiently. And you may get to a stage where the game is just not difficult enough. And I actually feel a little tiny bit guilty about that. I worry that I'm going to be ruining some guy's sense of fun here. I'm just doing this so we don't suffer a lot of consequences to an auto-resolve. I'm going to keep on talking about this point. So the point is that I think I'm going to explore and showcase some very difficult mods, like the Strengthened AI, like the Lord Retinue, so that you guys can sort of see how to make your game harder, right? We're not going to do it. I'm not going to be doing it like tutorial style during my campaign. I may make a whole separate episode. I'm gaining levels at 3x speed. That's how easy this is. This guy, it seems like he gains a level like once a week. Maybe that's normal. I just don't remember it being that easy. Of course, we're destroying everything in sight, fighting, a battle every other day. Maybe that's part of it. But I worry a little bit that, I'm kind of killing some of the fun of the game if it becomes too easy. So I do want to give you guys the same way that I'm helping guys make the game easier when it's harder at first. I want to be able to equalize it to make the game harder now that it's become easier. If all that makes sense, right? I'm worried that some of the tactical instruction makes things too easy. I won't spoil it too much, but there's an episode coming up. I'm not even going to tell you exactly what it's about, but it makes a certain part of the game so easy that it almost kills the joy of it. And I've looked at the episode. I've watched myself. I've watched the episode over after I made it, and I'm concerned about posting it. It's not an exploit. It's just using the game mechanics to completely mangle the enemy, just like the kill box or anything else. And I worry that, on some level, I'm killing the joy for you friends. All right, so enough of that spiel. What I'm basically saying is I'm probably going to artificially make the game harder out of necessity, right? Out of necessity. Look at this gal. She just trapped herself. Oh, it's Savannah. Let's get her. This is probably one of the hottest, most desirable wives. We'll probably seek to marry some gal like this in our campaign. She's a badass. She's like 6'5", and she's gorgeous. Never hurts to have a nice digital gorgeous wife. She's probably got a dismal personality. Like you guys will kind of experience that in life. A lot of times, the most beautiful women, they have some issues. We'll say it that. I won't go too deep into philosophy on everything in life, but I would encourage you guys all to find a woman who's very attractive, but much more importantly has a great personality. Because trust me, fellas, sex is not forever, and it's much more important that you guys have things in common and you enjoy being around them. Later in life. I mean, I'm not talking about when you're 22 and you're sport fucking. I'm talking about when you're 32 and you're starting to date and starting to get serious. Try to override your superficial side, right? And don't focus overly on looks, especially when there's red flags about their personality or you guys have nothing in common. I'm a little bit of a marriage counselor sometimes to the guys at work. Anyways, maybe I won't go too far into that kind of stuff, or maybe you guys want to hear more stuff like that. I'm a little bit of an amateur psychologist. All right, we got another Sturgeon force lining up here, and I'm really just not afraid, right? They're chasing us, right? Come get some. We're a little bit banged up at this stage. A lot of our companions are banged up, but we've got a good army. We're racking up levels and getting perks left and right. So I think we'll just keep fighting this out. Anyway, so I want to talk. I want to cover those points about the campaign a little bit more in detail. The age of the character, stuff like that. I'm probably not going to run like a full bandit run through. I know you can like play the whole game as a bandit. I'm probably not going to do that. I'm probably going to play, as a vassal, and then eventually make our own kingdom, etc., etc. Try to conquer the map. But it's just a question of the difficulty. All right, back to the game here. We're going to butcher another sturgeon force here. We're just absolutely piling up heaps of gold, right? Because this Khazate force, while they're busy sieging Tyal, I'm destroying the entire sturgeon resistant force here. It's been piecemeal. They're attacking like 2-3 armies at a time. But it's been so casual that I can just maintain this monologue at the same time. Now I have to keep resetting my Cav division, and I realize I know what that's from now. That's coming from the battle size mod. If you guys have never played with the battle size mod, it does fuck with your formations. It dumps a bunch of troops onto the second corps, and you have to reset that to sort of get your units to be how they want to. I will try to disable that soon so that you don't have to deal with these constant adjustments before the battle. I am going to try to expedite the campaign. I will do, I will cut off parts. I will definitely speed up battles that are obviously over and stuff like that. But at the same time, I'm not going to do it overtly because I am aware that a lot of guys want to see some of the fine details of a campaign. I'm trying to strike a balance here, fellas. Essentially, I'm trying to be a politician, right? I'm trying to find the middle ground where enough people are interested in it that they watch, right? The equivalent of voting for me. If there's like 100 or 200 views per episode, I probably won't do a very long campaign, right? I might start making the episodes shorter and shorter, or at least less content in the episodes. I'm not going to waste your guys' time or mine. All right, so my line of sight is shit here. You can see I can't see them. That's not good, right? Because a lot of our army is ranged. We want to move back. Look at these higher hills back here. Again, we're going to be able to enact a kill box. Now, this enemy has a lot of archers and cavalry, so it's going to be a little different, although they still only have about 30 cavalry, right? They have 17 standard cavalry, probably some javelin guys in there, and then they have these 15 horse archers. It looks like they have Khazate units in this sturgeon force, which is not uncommon. You get these little amalgamations, of your border troops. But here they come again, this giant fucking infantry vanguard, soon to be killed. These guys have absolutely no chance. And I do worry about that stage as well. Now, fortunately, there's enough landscapes to keep things interesting in Bannerlord, but you guys only need to see 27 kill boxes before you're sick of it, right? It's just like anything. If you have pizza for dinner every night, even though pizza's good, eventually you will get sick of it. And even though the kill box is an awesome tactic, if I show it to you 27 times and 4 times per episode, you guys will log off, right? You guys will go watch Dave Bunny or something else funny and do something else to try to make money. Okay, I won't rap, I won't rhyme, I promise. But the point is, though, is that I am going to try to keep things varied, right? And so I will probably be editing out, like I said before, I'm not going to show you 37 battles against forest bandits while we build up our army. In this instance here, I'm probably not going to show you much, if any, of the footage between the 2 weeks from where we were captured by the Khazate I'll probably start this episode or this narration roughly about the time that we joined the Khazate as mercenaries, right? I'm gonna trim stuff out, and then I can just tell you, hey, we joined the Khazate as mercenaries, and not waste your fucking time. You're not going to see me spending 20 minutes tricking out the equipment for our units and stuff like that. I will do a little bit occasionally. I might even have an episode or two where I literally give a disclaimer and say, hey, this episode is not going to have a lot of fighting. This is a maintenance housekeeping episode. For those who want battles, skip to, episode number 9 or whatever. That way, the guys who want to see how I'm decking out our units in armor, how I'm putting banners on captains and stuff like that, what troop composition I'm putting in the army, how I'm micromanaging garrisons and stuff like that, I will be able to essentially feed you guys what you want. And the guys who are here for tactics or the more meat and potatoes of a campaign will also be able to see that. Again, you see the kill box here is utterly devastating. This sturgeon force, they're actually high level. And again, while just totally giving a dissertation and monologue about what we're doing for the campaign here, they got completely mangled. Maybe they got 5 kills. All right, so this is a little bit more of a threat because archers are powerful. So we got to move up our units here against a very large archer division. And of course, a lot of our archers now are either low or out of ammo. So how are we going to do that, right? Well, we've got a crossbow division. They'll be in a shield wall. I've got infantry that can be in a shield wall. And we can bring these guys up essentially over the edge of that ridge. It's a little bit of a peekaboo ridge in reverse. But we're not just going to charge all at the same time. What I'm going to be doing is essentially harassing these archers. Hopefully I don't get killed here. And we're just going to drag cavalry over and over again up and down the archer lines. That causes them to move around. It causes archers to whip out their weapon and try to attack you. It causes them to fucking run for safety. And of course it kills and tramples a lot of them. And the reason we're doing that, of course, is to occupy them until our real bad boys get to the line, right? We're buying time for our infantry so that they can arrive and butcher these guys. Now, it looks like it's going to be another 15 seconds, and these sturgeons will probably start kiting. A lot of times archers see infantry coming in a shield wall, and of course, just like what we're doing, they try to kite. But unfortunately, the enemy's weakness here is that there's almost always one big division. I'm surprised they're not kiting already. So we're going to continue to drag cav through here. We've got the 5th Archer Corps charging, and that basically advances those guys aggressively. The 6th Archers, or the 6th Skirmishers are moving up here. They're starting to kite. But it's not going to matter at this stage. I've got seven cavalry, but more importantly, our units are almost on them. They're just not going to be able to kite. Archer's going to be shooting them. I'm going to be cutting down every 5th guy. And this battle is over. So again, another battle where the enemy AI attacks us, and the reason it's doing that is because it thinks there's a very good chance it's going to win. That's how the AI is programmed to operate, and very good chance to win against our tactics here represents essentially a fallacy. They cannot win this battle. Right? No amount of luck or battlefield maps are going to help the enemy win this setup here against the tactical tool bag that I've assembled. So the enemy's crushed here. These guys will rout soon. If they don't, we'll just chop off a few more heads. Of course, this is how we're gaining levels. Guys are shocked all the time that a lot of our characters in our main campaign are level 40. They're like in disbelief, and it's like, I don't know, man. I mean, we're fighting a battle every day. And of course, in my main campaign, it's a 40-minute battle where you're chopping off 100 heads, right? You can imagine the EXP. It's insane. All right, well, this Sturgeon force is ripped to pieces. Kick a few more guys, chop them down. The enemy is fleeing. You've won the battle, and this is sort of case in point. I'm going to need to increase the difficulty of this campaign to make it more interesting for you and for me. So, and I know some guys are like, "Well, do it without smithing weapons." I'm probably not going to smith. So okay, so check on that. And then I hear other guys are like, "Well, do it with no noble units, no cavalry." I don't want to put on like super weird artificial constraints like that. In my other campaign, I did that and it works, but I'd rather play with like a really powerful AI as far as their units and lords, right? I'd rather use the strengthen AI mod to make them really potent. We continue to get nice gear here from the Sturgeons. Legendary spears and shit. We'll take all this shit. Tailored, some decent armor. But I'd rather just that the AI units were boosted considerably. That way we're fighting really mature, nasty armies with high-level lords, right? I think that'll be much more interesting. We'll fight some gigantic armies, right? We may have an army of 300 fighting 1,500, right? Et cetera, et cetera. What do you think, dude? You want to give me more money? You should be able to negotiate and be like, I think you should give me more money. I just killed half of your enemy while you were busy sieging that city. Pay now or I'll kill you next. Anyways, I think we'll begin to wrap this up. I'm going to try to aim for most episodes being between 30 and 45 minutes. It seems like a sweet spot. Some guys like it longer, some guys like it shorter. And so again, we'll use diplomacy here. We will aim for somewhere in the middle and not bore you guys to fucking death. I think that there's something else I can do here. I can do a little bit of upgrades. Again, this character is just flying through the levels, and I'm not paying that close attention to how I'm speccing this guy. I will definitely be doing a lot more homework on a character for a real campaign. I will be using some precision upgrades as far as his levels. I'm aiming to have, a shield, sword, javelin character on a horse. And I'm probably going to do quite a bit of fighting as infantry, right? In the pits with the infantry, in a square and stuff like that. And I'm also considering doing more in this little practice campaign of infantry tactics. Guys ask for that a lot. Incidentally, I will be mixing in whole episodes, like 40, 50 minutes of nothing but RBM battles. Right in the middle of the campaign, I will do that, right? It won't wildly alter the game. And of course, there's no permanent changes, but I may have a 45-minute or an hour-long session of nothing but RBM because there are guys out there that really like it. And for the guys who've never played it before, I think it's good exposure. But I am toying with the idea, even in this campaign, when I become a vassal, of being an infantry-heavy army, right? Taking these archers that have just destroyed everything, parking these guys in a garage somewhere and saying, hey, we'll come back for you guys in a couple, 3 weeks. All right, so with all that said, I appreciate you fellas. Of course, you want to subscribe if you want to see more episodes like this. Please hit the like button. I appreciate you fellas, and I will see you guys next time.